Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
Oh boy, oh boy. We,
Man, where do we start? Today we're going to dive into a bunch of things. We're going to talk about the ICE shootings up in Minneapolis. I have a different take on it than I think most of you do. Only because I want to look at it from a very unemotional standpoint. Both sides want to look at it emotionally. I'm not going to look at it emotionally. I'm going to look at it factually. Now, here's what I'm going to tell all of you as you hit the share button and do the things on your side that make it necessary. I've talked a little bit about Dan Bongino and other things, but let's, we do have a couple guests today, so I want to make sure I honor them and honor their time as well. But I think that I have to go through a few of these things. So let's start here. There was a woman that was shot yesterday by ICE in Minneapolis. She was a 37-year-old mother of three. Her name was Renee Nicole Good. She was killed by an agent in an operation. She was the front car in an operation to basically disrupt or to interfere with, impede their traffic so they can get to where they need to go in order to make arrests. She was a paid protester. And they are now saying that they're going to have these protests. And so you have these George Floyd-like protests. Now, the more that we actually learn about her, the worse it gets, right? Because it is the storm. Now, let's do this. Let's just look at this objectively, okay? I don't agree with the shooting. I don't agree with it. It doesn't mean it's not justified. So let me kind of move move your window a little bit. She impeded the officers in doing their duties. That's a crime. She was given a lawful order to exit the vehicle. That's a crime. She did not do it. She didn't comply. That's a crime. She tried to flee the scene. That's another crime. So you have 3 crimes that were committed. She tried to run over a police officer, and whether she did so purposely or not, she turned the wheel to the left and turned it back to the right. I don't believe that her intention was to run him over. She didn't, but she did. She hit the guy. He shot, boom, 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 and killed her. I think the last shot's the one that shot her in the head. I don't know that to be a fact. Just from looking at the video, that's what I got from it. Is it justified? If you use the car as a weapon and you've already committed 3 crimes and you are fleeing the scene as a suspect in those crimes, you have every right to use your weapon, discharge your weapon. Do I agree with that line in the sand? No. No, I don't. My brother was murdered by a police officer, 2017. I can believe that what the officer did was justified, while at the same time recognizing that the left and the right, both sides, have not gotten what they want. And there's a feeling on the left and the right, there's a feeling with the people of this country that things are just not right. There's a feeling, that things are not balanced. Now I am a very focused person. I try to look at not just the symptoms, but I look at the problem. And years ago when I went to the Middle East and Africa and I was doing negotiating there, and they would bring me in on things, and they're like, okay, we have this comprehensive peace agreement, and we have this thing going on up here, and airplanes are falling out of the sky with Sudan Airways, and we have this letter from Boeing, and so I'd reach out to Boeing. I did all these things. And my job was for me, not to give any material advice to anybody that was on a sanction list, make sure that I was complying, but also look at what's the greater good of how we solve this problem, not serve as a symptom. And I was very good at it. And in our country, we have a problem on both sides where we believe the same thing. And we talk past each other with rhetoric and dog whistles and everything else. Here's how I'm going to prove it to you. My brother was murdered by a police officer. He was knocked off a motorcycle at 90 miles an hour into a wall. He hit a pole, nearly split him in half, and he died. For a traffic stop. They were messing with him, as they do. He was on a motorcycle, and the other guys were out at midnight. And my brother made the poor choice of running from the police. They all did. There was 4 of them. They went in 4 different directions. They homed in on my brother. They wanted to call in the dogs. They wanted to call in helicopters for a traffic stop. Now, they had later admitted that they had his tag, so they could have just picked him up in the morning. But ego stepped in the middle of it, and they decided, no, they were going to teach him a lesson. So at 90 miles an hour, they knocked him off the bike. Is it right? No, it's murder. See, sometimes the lesson to learn, sometimes the consequence for what happened is greater than the expectation that you have when you set out to defy that lawful environment. But here's the reality. We don't have leaders inside of our country that represent the interests of the left or the right. They represent themselves. And if is it of, for, and by the people, then let me know what has happened and what legislation has gotten across the finish line that represents what is for the greater good of the people. Is it to sign off on Obamacare and to raise the rates of people by nearly 2,000% over the last decade? Is it to put machines in place and spend hundreds of millions of dollars on machines and mail-in ballots and put tollways on every road and to raise property taxes and spend 56 cents on every dollar feeding that beast? Is there anyone on either side that would choose that? Is there anyone on either side that would choose to have criminals come across the border and rape and kill other people in their family? Do you think anybody looks at that and goes, that's normal? That they want that? At the same time, the propagandists, the people that are the leaders, the people that I call the bosses that sit behind all the things that happen, those people are never held to account. Those haves that gave Renee the money and said, hey, look, I want you to go out there and disrupt this, and here's what we're going to do, and made her the pawn in all of this, and filled her head with a bunch of stuff of just don't listen to them, it's not lawful, it's illegal, they're not allowed to do it. Well, if somebody tells you something is illegal, then you're not going to respect that authority. So they built this rhetoric and they built this castle, and then they crashed that castle around a single mom. That's what they did. So when I say it's not a victimless crime, when I say it's not, and the judiciary, by the way, rotted to the core. Our judges don't represent the interests of the people. Tell me how they do. They're the enforcers for the crime family. Because they get to pick and choose who actually gets justice and who doesn't, which means it's not a system of justice, it's a system of just us. It's a fraternity. They get to tell you who is and is not acceptable. They get to tell you who is or is not the cool kid on the block, which leads me to the last part of this. If you think that it's justified, case closed, close the door, throw it out the window, you are buying into the boss and you don't even know it. You at least have to have some sort of pragmatic approach to looking at why was she even out there swerving in the road? Who told her to? Who filled her head with the idea that ICE is out there just arresting Americans? Because I promise you that's what she thought. And there are people that do things for the right reasons. There are other people that become paid protesters because they get a bunch of money for it. Which side was she on? I don't know. But she broke the law, and the consequences cost her life. And so now we're going to turn her into a George Floyd for what? George Floyd was a drug addict. George Floyd was a guy that was a criminal. And they turned him into a man of a castle. And see, they don't actually care what the facts are. And many of you on our side, also don't care about the fact that maybe we should find a way not not to allow the bosses to do what they did in putting these people in those positions anyway. Maybe we should have zero tolerance. Just arrest them all. Pull up 3 cars in front of them, 3 cars behind them, arrest them all. Block off the whole thing, make it an operation, and make them an example, and put them in federal court, put them in federal custody, and make them go through the process. We perpetuate this problem by servicing the symptom and never addressing the problem. So there, I said it. It was justified, but I don't like it. And I don't think you should like it either. The woman died. That's my opinion. Now, on the other side, and then I'll bring our guest on, because we got a lot to talk about. Let's start with Dan Bongino. He had this to say. Let's play this.
When I come back, if it's going to be, endless complaining, then just don't watch. The show's, it's okay. Like, this is a constitutional republic. You're not obligated to listen to my show. The thing about black pill is where everything sucks all the time. It's like, well, we're demanding accountability. Great, so am I. You're endlessly complaining about things you don't know anything about. That's all you do. Like, he'll shut down the border, 10 people across the month. Why wasn't it 0? Okay, well, can you just acknowledge going from 1 million to 10 is a big deal? There's a cost to that. You can't let this negative vibe constantly set in. That doesn't mean healthy debates about policy are not welcome. Debating policies are fine, but the black pill, complaining and whining all the time about the administration, it's just like, man, what team are you on? You don't have to watch. It's okay. There's a door. Go find the freaking exits. I don't really give a shit. I'm not here for anybody's money or anything like that. I'm too old for that shit.
Okay, so it's not that he's not there for anybody's money. Let me just tell you about Dan. By the way, he blocked me. And I got a phone call saying, hey, Joe, stop pissing on Dan Bongino and Kardashian Patel. So I did write this. I said, I had a response to his black pill deal. And I said, here we go, just like the left endlessly complaining black pillars. Yes, dog whistles, another example of what an op looks like. Let me break it down for you. The American people are not black pilled. They're held hostage and watch as they were told it takes time. They feel completely marginalized by what they can see for decades in the lawlessness and the lies that allow for the haves to do, say, and abuse anything and everyone they want. You mock the people because you want to return to a state of silence, tell them to do what exactly what the radical left and the establishment has done again for decades. Sit down, shut up, and let the experts handle it. Only left out the last word on purpose, but nonetheless still true, slave. No thanks. Psychobabble will work on the stupid and those that gush over your stay positive. The reality is the haves, that you are a have, telling the American people that the 56% in taxes, the rotted judiciary, which you won't talk about, stolen 100% fraudulent elections, and the complete dysfunction and third world operating of our government is all necessary. And to fix the leaky toilet, we just need to have time, endless time to be exact. Although I believe Trump single-handedly is making things move, that does not ever give you the right to shit on the American people who have a right and frankly, a long history to speak to that which makes them lack confidence. That they will never see any benefit of the actions taken. They do in fact not matter to you, but hey, tell us again how mocking those who have suffered while you order the censorship of those speaking up while counting your 300 to 400 million in Rumble stock, you really sound serious for sure. So he said, I don't have time for that. Keep your money. Well, let me just explain something to you. A guy that has $300 million that got it off of grabbing stock to go out there and be an influencer in setting up a platform that competes against YouTube, but really can't create a revenue model that matches it because they don't really pay attention to how money is actually made in the tech world. That's actually not a guy he's just a pompous ass, right? And although I thought he was a man of courage, I've now come to the conclusion he's nothing but a paper tiger. And after seeing what has happened with the pipe bomber and what they've done as a disgrace with the DOJ, I find it very, very difficult to give him any sort of leniency or grace when it comes to how he talks to the American people. I'm not his boy. You're not his boy. You're not his girl. He doesn't get to bark orders at you. And frankly, calling me a life loser or any of you a life loser, yeah, it just doesn't hold water. So We're going to talk about a few other things. We'll come back to talking about the ICE protests and what's happening there. There's a lot of things happening right now which are going to create some problems for us. We are not in a good place as it pertains to, pretty much anything. I mean, we're heading down a slippery slope. Now, President Trump's trying to bring that back, which is why I said it's justified. But when you have an entire group that feels they can do whatever they want, and they're being told by the radical left and by Democrats that you can do whatever you want, what ensues is very, very dangerous. So I'm going to talk about our first guest. So Judd Saul is going to talk to us about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. He's the founder and executive director of Equipping the Persecuted. He's an award-winning documentary filmmaker, Christian missionary, and entrepreneur from Iowa. I wonder if he wrestled. 2011, following a transformative call during a visit to Nigeria, he founded Equipped with the Persecuted, ministry dedicated to providing urgent aid, security support, and spiritual encouragement to persecuted Christians facing violence. He also leads Truth Nigeria, a project that documents and raises global awareness about the targeting killings, massacres, and displacement of Christian communities, often described as a genocide by Fulani militants and other groups. Through his work, films, and advocacies, helped equip thousands of believers, partnered with local leaders, and pressed for international attention to stop the ongoing crisis. Let's just welcome to the show, Judd Saul. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, sorry I had to get a bunch of stuff out there to begin with. It's kind of a moving target that we always have to pick a side, and I'm not a guy that picks a side very much.
I agree with your assessment. I completely agree with your assessment on this, and you worded it very well. It's a terrible situation, but I believe that there's responsibilities on both sides. Did she have to get killed? No, I don't think so. But the left has been setting. You're right. They built a castle around her, and they set her up for this. And this is how the left operates.
I'm dead. I was dead. I was almost.
There you go.
There we go. Let's. I want to talk a little bit about your organization first. Yeah, I mean, I can talk all day about what's happening in our country, and the left versus the right, and the rhetoric that gets created, and the propaganda, and frankly, I think I've become more of a centrist that concentrates all of my beliefs on the fact that President Trump does not talk about left or right when it comes to Democrat or Republicans. He's like, what's right for the regular people? Everybody else seems to stand on either side and throw arrows at each other and spitballs. I feel like I'm in a cafeteria with a bunch of children, right?
Hey,
Nigeria is a
world we live in.
Yeah, Nigeria is a dangerous place. It's also one of the economic capitals of Africa. And while you were there, did you ever go to the Niger Delta?
I have been to the Delta area. It's not the place where a lot of the Christians are being massacred and killed. So our primary focus is in the middle belt of Nigeria, Abuja and north of.
Yeah, Abuja is a pretty unsafe place in a lot of ways, for white people for sure.
Well, if things seem peaceful in Abuja, just wait a few hours. It could flip. It could turn on a dime, and that's how Nigeria is.
Well, I mean, I think that's most of Nigeria. The reason why I asked you about the Niger Delta is because it's a wasteland, right? It's it's a place that U.S. interest or Western interest came in and created basically a wasteland of oil and picked up their pumps, and it's very sad. I mean, the ecological destruction. We don't even talk about it. Like nobody talks about it. It's not even a thing. We'll talk about the Exxon Valdez, but not what they did in an entire area that left the place a little bit ravaged. Let's talk about the middle of Nigeria and the Christians that are being killed. Is it Christians that are being killed, or is it more secular than that?
No, the vast majority is Christians. Based on the statistics and the numbers, it's about 5 to 1. For every Muslim killed, it's 5 Christians. And there aren't Muslims.
It's a majority Christian country.
Right.
I mean, So
It was. It was a majority Christian country. It was 70% Christian a little over 30 years ago, and now it's looking more 50-50. It's because Islam has come in from the north, especially radical elements, and they've been taken out and dominating once Christian territories, taking over, implementing Sharia law, and pushing Christians further to the south.
The Nigerian government has played a part in that.
Oh yes,
in parts. So how are you squaring up the corruption and the basically look the other way while people are getting massacred? And you have to have an escape valve. You the normal family's not allowed to have a gun. You're not allowed to have
right.
the things to support yourself, and yet there's weapons all around you. You have Boko Haram. You got
yeah. To sum up Nigeria, what's going on there is this: the radical Islamist elements have been taking over territory from the north, but they've also infiltrated the Nigerian government, the military, the police, the security apparatus, and the last two presidents have been Muslim presidents. And the president before was a Fulani himself. Now, the Fulani tribe, they have what they call the Fulani ethnic militia, which are the boots on the ground, the gunmen, the terrorists that have been kidnapping Christians and wiping out entire Christian communities. And the Nigerian military, police, the security apparatus, which has been infiltrated by the Fulani, have turned a blind eye to the killings. Our organization alone since 2023 has issued over 125 terror alerts, meaning we got intelligence, word on the ground of when and where terror attacks were going to take place. And we notify the Nigerian government, police and military, and the local communities. And in every instance, there was no military or police presence to be there before an attack. They always show up after the attack happens.
Judd,
and even while these attacks could be going on for 4 hours, there's no military or police presence.
So, Judd, I had a friend that worked in the south of Libya. And you would have these Janjaweed and Chadian rebels and Darfurian rebel groups, because if you know anything about, if you don't know about geography, obviously you probably do.
Yeah.
There's like a blend that happens. There's no real borders, or it kind of blends together a little bit. And but he went in and he armed the villages, taught them to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is this a part of your strategy? Do you give families and people access to weaponry?
Oh, well, we can't, as an organization, we can't do everything to do with weapons. Nigeria is they don't have a Second Amendment. Citizens are not allowed to arm themselves. While the Nigerian,
you can have a slasher. You can
have machetes. They have they have machetes. They have homemade shotguns. But the Nigerian government allows the terrorists to roam around the country with AK-47s and sniper rifles and rocket-propelled grenade launchers unimpeded. And the villagers have nothing. As an organization and to operate there legally, I can't get involved in the arms business. But what I can do is we can teach them self-defense skills. We can teach them how to save lives. We can teach them how to gather intelligence. We can give them radios, communications, all sorts of things. But I cannot get involved in weapons. Otherwise, they throw me out of the country or put me in jail.
All right,
unfortunately. But we're doing everything we can within a legal basis to save lives.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yes, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you create a violent revolt. You create community protection mechanisms, right? So this is
right.
I mean, we can talk about the history of making sure that there was equilibrium. The United States, the reason why it exists for 250 years in a relative peaceful state is because there's a gun behind nearly every door, and everyone knows it.
Right.
Right. Now that loosely has gone away as they start to erode the Second Amendment. Now you start seeing a lack of civility because, frankly, there's no consequences for incivility other than the death of the person that is behind the door without a gun.
Right. And you're seeing the same thing take place in Europe when they take away their guns. Same thing in Australia. Take away their guns and unrest, and criminals aren't punished, and you have a chaotic society. Well, it's the same way in Nigeria. They took away the right for citizens to own weapons, and that eliminates certain tribes and even ethnicities and Christians to defend themselves. while the Muslims have the guns and the power. And that is what's happening in Nigeria. And 90% of all Christian persecution deaths worldwide have been in Nigeria the last 5 years.
Well, President Trump came in and dropped a couple of little, Christmas presents on them. How did that affect your operations and some of the operations of others in the country?
Well, I'm going to be very frank. This is Untamed Nation. We're supposed to tell the truth, right?
Always. Please always tell the truth. If you lie, I'll cut you off.
So this is what happened. Trump did a good deed by blowing up terrorists in Nigeria. The problem is he took out the weakest terrorist group out of the bunch that is only responsible for killing 5% of the Christians in Nigeria, while completely ignoring the Fulani and Boko Haram, which are responsible for the vast majority of the killing of Christians in Nigeria. And by taking out the Lakura, which are the ones affiliated with ISIS, he did the other terrorist groups a favor. They just took out a rival terrorist faction that wasn't killing many Christians. And the Nigerian government is in bed with Boko Haram, and they are in bed with the Fulani. And we just did the Nigerian government a favor. But the Nigerian government says to the U.S., it says, hey, look, we helped you defeat terrorists. We helped you kill terrorists. And everybody cheers, but yet Christians are still being killed every day. Now, since Christmas, there's been over 50 Christians killed.
Okay, so hold on a second. Time out. We took out the weakest among them, so we made the others stronger. They're still killing Christians. The word. Have you had this conversation with the administration? Have you reached out to the administration to have a conversation about who's really, from an intelligence standpoint, is?
Yeah. I have said this loud and clear. We've talked to congressmen. We've talked to people in the State Department. We're trying to tell them that on the ground, but there is a very big arrogance within our intelligence community, and a very big arrogance within the bureaucratic apparatus of our, CIA and defense, that says, well, they're not ISIS. ISIS are the bad guys. So what I know for a fact is that there is no directive from the United States government to the intelligence services to even look at the real problem in Nigeria that's killing Christians. And this is the message I'm trying to scream loud and clear. Hey, guys, if we're going to take this seriously, we have to deal with the Fulani ethnic militia.
Okay,
these are the guys. Yeah.
Look, I've spent a lot of time in Africa. Okay. Why don't you tell everyone how pervasive the CIA is in Nigeria?
It's not. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You're saying the CIA doesn't exist in Nigeria?
I'm saying there is very, very, very little resources in Nigeria actually looking at the problem.
Is it they're looking at the problem, or
they're not even looking at the problem?
Or did they purposely eliminate a smaller group in favor of bigger groups that are working with the Nigerian government?
They are trying to partner with the Nigerian government, which is embedded with the actual other terrorist groups, and they did them a favor by taking out the Lakura, which none of them like.
Okay, but why would you take out the Lakura then? Who would give President Trump those directives? Who would give him the intel to say, let's bomb these guys?
The Nigerian Security Service, their DSS and their NSA.
That's not where our security apparatus gets their information, though. They get it because they have boots on the ground. They have people on the ground.
No, they don't.
With them. The CIA doesn't in Nigeria.
We don't have boots. No, no. What I'm trying to tell you is there is very little, no boots on the ground, and there is no operating directive from the United States government to look at the Fulani.
Well, it doesn't mean they don't have information on the Fulani, right? Or the Boko Haram, because they do.
They have a little bit of information. They have a little, but so Boko Haram is
grown since then.
Right. The Boko Haram is the Kanuri. They are not the Fulani.
Correct.
So you have the Fulani, and that's the other terrorist group. So Boko Haram's famous, has a shiny name. That is what the intelligence is looking at. They are not looking at the middle belt of Nigeria.
Hold on a second. We're having a conversation about this. Yeah. And I always like to say this. Number one, from the time that I actually was gathering intel and information in Nigeria specifically, when I started looking into what was happening there, the last time I did that was in 2013, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It did not get better from 2013 to 2025, okay? It didn't. And the misdirection... the misdirection from the U.S. government, from people that are on the ground in the intelligence apparatus on the ground there. It was constant misdirection. I know because I would come back to the United States and I would hear about this stuff, and it was nowhere near what was happening on the ground. It didn't exist. They were two completely separate things. And yet I would sit in front of people and they would say things and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I would walk over here and I'm like, that's not what's happening at all. So we know that there's misdirection happening in Nigeria, correct?
Yes.
And I don't mean this to be offensive, but if you're the smartest guy in the room, we got bigger problems. In other words, if they don't know about Fulani and you're talking about Fulani with me, they have to know that there's a connection there, correct?
The government is not acknowledging it.
Why? That's like not acknowledging that you have election fraud.
That's the $1 million question, and we're trying to figure this out. What I can tell you is that there are people in the Trump camp, Massad Boulous in particular, who's Tiffany Trump's in-law, who is he's Lebanese, has a lot of business interests in Nigeria. He is a person that I know is fighting us on this and saying that there's no Christian genocide or persecution in Nigeria. There's a lot of people making a lot of money off the status quo in Nigeria. They're taking advantage of a lot of things.
I mean,
they are in bed with the Nigerian government, which is one of the most corrupt governments in the world. And there's a lot of money flowing between a lot of places. And there's also a lot of money being poured from the Nigerian government into lobby groups into the United States to fight this narrative, to say that there's no Christian genocide and that the Fulani are not responsible.
So you're actually proving my point, and I didn't mean to get sideways with you on what I
No,
think
go ahead.
doing there, but I'm a pretty well-versed guy over things happening in Africa. I would say that I'm in the top 1% of people that understands the cultural differences and things that happen there, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have people that are talking in the ear of the president and the security apparatus saying that this group of people who kills less Christians than others, we need to knock them out. It is like having your enemy tell your friend to kill the person that is as closely related to your friend out of the three as you could possibly get, correct?
Correct. So
it's very purposeful.
Very purposeful.
Okay.
And for the life of me, I'm still trying to figure out why. Because I've actually had people from the government tell me that we don't know what we're talking about when we've issued over 125 terror alerts over the last 2 years that have 90% accuracy rate. So our information is way more credible than what they're providing or even what they know.
Do you have a security protection license in Nigeria when you're there? In other words, are you protected?
We have hired paid armed guards and people that protect us when we're in country. And we're not a licensed security agency ourselves. We've tried getting that. We've been denied. Of course.
Denied by Nigeria or denied?
Denied by Nigeria.
Okay.
But we operate on God's grace. Besides our security apparatus, I mean, we do humanitarian work. We've been responding to attacks within 48 hours with food aid and medicine. We've been there for 6 years helping people after they've been attacked. And we've helped over 500,000 persecuted Christians since we've started.
You're identifying a problem that's actually grown. It hasn't gotten better. It's now gotten worse.
No, it's gotten worse.
So we knocked off a group of people over Christmas and 50 people just died.
50 people have been dead and scores kidnapped, many more kidnapped, because it wasn't the Lakura, it wasn't the ISIS group doing it. It's the Fulani ethnic militia that have a stated goal of turning Nigeria into a caliphate. So does Boko Haram, and so did the Lakura. It's just who gets there first. So they'll fight each other over little spats and territories and kill each other over certain things, but they have one goal: eliminate Christianity and take over Nigeria.
Okay, so usually when Muslims come into an area, and I'm just going off history, it's forced conversion and then death. But what I've been hearing about what's happening in Nigeria is it's just death. So is this an issue with where they come in and they take resources, they do things, they create almost like a mob mentality, frankly.
Right.
But
well, yeah.
so
Yeah. Look at that's a good way to say it. It's like operating like the mafia.
yes,
They move in, they come in, they populate. They start taking over certain aspects. They gain a little political control. Then the killing starts, and then they either put people in as second, third class citizens, make them pay their fines, their jizya, or kill them and take everything they have. But they profit off of finding the Christians to live in the area. I mean, they extort them to crazy amounts of money, or they kidnap, hold ransom. People sell everything they have to get their loved ones out, and then the Muslims end up buying the land and the property at a very big discount. They get ransomed out, and the Christians have to move somewhere else. And they rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
so let's. Man. These are always fascinating conversations for me because, I look at what happened in Iraq, came in weapons mass destruction. We're going to liberate them and bring democracy to them. Do you think that happened?
No. You can't bring real democracy to a Muslim country because that's not how their religion and political system works. It never works that way. You can't really bring a real democracy into an Islamic country. But the fact of the matter is, Nigeria was a majority Christian country, and you can run a democracy in a Christian country because it coincides with biblical values and biblical principles. In fact, where do we get democracy? Essentially, is from Moses, and it's inherent in Christianity. But you cannot put a real democracy in a Muslim country. And what they are, like I said, right now, I wouldn't consider Nigeria a democracy at this point. I would consider it a slowly becoming a Muslim dictatorship.
So we have allies that are dictators, and we have other countries that we tolerate. The inner workings of those countries, and in most of those environments, those countries and their people, or the people of those countries, are slaves. Now, I don't want to get into the semantics of whether or not the United States and the people in the United States are slaves, because a vast majority of what we see on the surface is not what actually operates underneath, nor does it operate that way in Nigeria. But as we start looking at what's happening in Nigeria and the killing of Christians, you can't, on one side, you can pick up their bodies, you can food, water, aid on this side, but you're just basically feeding the machine, right? You teach them some self-defense, you try to give them some tools, but let's be honest, they have handmade shotguns and they have, billy clubs, right? Slashers, or which are the, machetes.
Machetes, yeah.
That's not going to win against an AK-47. It's just not going to do it.
Well, through our efforts, attacks have been thwarted. Through our efforts, people are starting to wake up. They're being educated. It's an uphill battle, but, I can say that we have saved thousands upon thousands of lives through our efforts. And for us, it's every life that counts. I know it's going to take government intervention to really, really fully solve this problem. And, that's why we're fighting this war, fighting this battle on all fronts. On the humanitarian side, saving lives, but also advocating for change and some political intervention. And I'm glad Trump took a step forward, blew up some terrorists, but they need to be blowing up the right people.
Well, I mean, if you have a lot of security interests in Nigeria, especially ones, and the reason why I talk about the CIA in Nigeria is because a lot of the scams that come out of those environments are tied to the intelligence community, whether we're talking about the CIA or the Mossad or any of these other organizations, right? The tentacles go deep into nearly every country in Africa because they're rich in resources, and Nigeria is a resource-rich country. It's one of the most resource-rich on the continent.
Yeah. And if Nigeria falls, the rest of Africa goes.
Explain that to me, because there are other strong nations there. I mean, Kenya is a very strong nation, and it has a lot of strategic places. Obviously, it's on the east coast of.
But it doesn't have the resources that Nigeria has. and doesn't have the population Nigeria has. Nigerian's population is like 230 million. Kenya's is like 30 or 40.
Yeah, 35 to 40 million.
Right, yeah, about 35 million. So, but if you take Nigeria with its oil, its apparatus, and the amount of people, you can conquer any other country in Africa real fast.
Okay, so let's talk about being 50-50. Are you saying that there's 200 million Nigerians and 100 million are Muslim?
It's about 50-50. Yes, at this point.
Are
People
these-
argue it back and forth, but I'd say it's about 50-50 at this point.
Is it 50-50 because there's a influx of people from outside Nigeria coming into Nigeria? Or is
Yes.
this because
It's the influx of the Sahel region, the Fulani, the Lakora, especially the Fulani. The Fulani have been flooding in from the north. They've been flooding in from Cameroon, and taking more territory in Nigeria.
So is this like an ethnic? I mean, this is a curious question just for me. Are you talking about the same thing that maybe Europe faces, but they're losing their cultural identity and ethos?
100%, because especially under Buhari, they opened the floodgates, they opened the borders, and tons of Fulani have moved in from the north, and they've moved in from the east in Cameroon. And the Fulani have made a very strong point, and they've been moving and trying to get into other countries in Africa to take over and dominate. But the Fulani have just been flooding into Nigeria like crazy. And through the cultural jihad, then they take territory, get political control, then comes the violent jihad. That's essentially what's happening. The same thing is happening in Europe. But it's just on a much larger scale in Nigeria as far as the killing and the insanity that is Nigeria is happening.
What's the end game in Nigeria? How do you become? Maybe I should be asking a different question. Sorry, let me not answer that question because I had some questions I wanted to ask you. But what's your mission? Like how is what you're doing going to lead to solving the problem of what they're dealing with in Nigeria?
Well, we're trying to tell the world what's actually happening there, and instead of being sycophants of, yeah, I'm happy Trump did it, but Trump did not save Nigeria. We're telling the truth here, and I'm trying to tell the truth about what's going on. It needs American intervention, but also just geopolitically, the Russians are vying for the resources in Nigeria. China has already got their tentacles far and wide in Nigeria, in their resources. They're buying up stuff like crazy. They're benefiting from the chaos. And if we want to have a stable Africa, and if you want to rival China, we should be getting in there and having better interests. But, of course, under the Biden administration and completely took away every bit of decent infrastructure we once had in Nigeria. And it's trying to rebuild and get back to serious business again.
Okay, so what's the ask of the American people? Like, how do we inform the president? Obviously, you're overstepping the interest metric is going to be difficult, right? It takes time. It's a slow boil. It never happens quickly. It's not even turning the ship. It's making sure that the interests get protected while they actually take out these people that are doing bad things. And
Exactly.
There's not really a big appetite for it. I mean, I just tell you.
I know there's not a big appetite for it, but for very little, we could do a lot in Nigeria. For very, 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 very little. And what I'm saying is the Nigerian government knows where the terrorists are. We know where the terrorists are. We know exactly what they plan on doing. And I'm saying, President Trump, quit listening to your arrogant intelligence people. Give us a seat at the table so we can actually tell you what's going on. And let's get an operating directive that's actually going to save Christians in Nigeria. And let's get some solutions on the table that are going to help these people that will actually benefit all of Africa. If we get rid of the terror problem in Nigeria, Africa would become a much better place. Nigeria would become a much better place. And more people, international business can come in and prosper. And I think it can be done, but it takes willpower. And that's why I'm asking President Trump. And instead of just blowing up some shiny terrorists up north, let's actually deal with the problem.
Is the biggest problem in the middle belt of Nigeria?
You have strong things that need to be dealt with in the far north. But as far as the killing of Christians, that's in the middle belt. And that is what needs to be addressed.
All right, so everyone thinks that there's just a bunch of like tribal guys running around with no clothes on. You want to tell people really what Nigeria is about, and that it's more cosmopolitan than I think people understand.
Well, there's pockets of cosmopolitan. I mean, you have Lagos, you have Port Harcourt, you have Abuja. There are certain areas, and there are areas that are very civilized. Then you have very rural, which are very tribal. People running around in underwear, half naked.
This is true. Yeah.
Go
ahead. Sorry.
You have modernized, metropolitan, very well educated, great people happening in the urban areas, and then 20 minutes outside that border, you're in 1800s, and you have people running around in underwear, kids running around naked. That is Nigeria, but the fact of the matter is that it is worth saving. It is worth intervening, and part of that is what I'm saying is if intervention doesn't happen now, there will be another Darfur on our hands. There will be millions massacred if intervention isn't done now, and we can prevent it by taking action now with very little resources, where if we try to intervene in a bloody war, it's going to get a lot worse.
So do you think that this is government sponsored? Is that what you said when you talk about Darfur? I know Darfur very well. I know all about the CPA, DPA. I'm very well versed on Sudan. I broke bread with President al-Bashir. I sat at the same table. We talked about things. So I'm very well versed in Sudan. Are you saying that the government is sponsoring this, or are you saying that these factions or groups that come from Cameroon and other areas are coming into the country and they're aligning themselves with interest in government? That's completely two different things. What do we really?
No. They are aligning themselves with interest in the government, and there are government factions and people that are profiting off this and gaining more power. When you have the Fulani taking over entire Christian communities and taking over entire states, and then implementing Sharia law, they're doing the full Islamization of Nigeria. So they are working together, and the military is standing down and not engaging when people are attacked, when Christians are attacked, with advance warning. Even when they have the intelligence right in front of them and they confirm the intelligence that there's an attack that's going to happen, they're ordered to stand down, and they are not defending the Christians. They're watching it happen 5 kilometers away.
Okay, so the current president of Nigeria, I just wanted to check and make sure I was right. He's a Muslim?
Yes.
And so are you saying that he's a part of it, or are you saying that, because Nigeria has a very slim history in their government structure, right?
Right.
It's a relatively new, it's kind of a baby when it comes to, if you're looking at the United States or you're looking at Nigeria. So are you saying that he's a part of this, or are you saying that he's trying to fight against these extremists? Because there is two. I mean, we have to admit.
No. What I'm saying is it's a dog and pony show. They pretend to care and fight, but they're not actually fighting. So they'll put a Christian leader in a secondary position and say, look, we put a Christian in this position, but he's capped off at the knees and has no real power to do anything. So it's a dog and pony show. So they're like trying to appear, no, look, we're on our side, while completely doing nothing, allowing the terrorists to take over more territory and kill Christians. Well, that's what's going on. And because in the long run, like I said, the more territory they take, they have now more political power and control.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest problems you have in Africa is that they don't even know what the word maintenance means.
Oh,
right?
Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that.
So it's not just, and that's just a cultural thing, right? Just, put oil in it, and we'll start there. So that there is something to be said for working the problem. Like, I can't figure out why the car's not running, but there's no oil in it. You try putting oil in it. You've seen this, right? This is not, I'm not making this up.
Yeah, no. Yep, exactly it.
So
the car's not working. Well, have you put gas in it?
So I just want to I want to be because I've dealt with leaders in African nations specifically, you know, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Sudan. Like I've seen this story before. What you're saying, I've seen it, and but sometimes it's not the leader that is dog and pony show. The leader is actually trying to, you know, create opportunities in different areas and to create unity amongst Muslims and Christians, because there's two sides of Muslims, right? There's the extremist Muslims and there's the people that want life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, right? I mean, there are a lot of Muslim followers of Jesus, just so you know, just like the Messianic Jews. There's
no. There are Fulani Christians. There are Muslims that have converted to Christianity, and there are Fulani that have converted to Christianity. Thank God, but they don't have the guns. They don't have the power. Tinubu, the current president, put a guy by the name of Rabadu in charge of the national security. He's Fulani. This guy has been a terrorist apologist for years. So he knew exactly what he was doing by putting Rabadu in charge of national security.
Okay, so I mean, again, knowing what I know now, right? And and I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just trying to tell you that there's sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees. President Trump bombed a certain group of people that he thought were killing Christians because he was given the intel that they're killing Christians. So he reaches over, signs a piece of paper, and says, blow them off the face of the planet, right? So the president of a country, especially one the size of Nigeria, 200 million people, has advisors too. Now, they don't understand the ability to do maintenance. Frankly, the reason why they have the Chinese there is they don't even know how to make a road.
I can attest to that. Yes.
So I mean, we have to look at this realistically. From they've come a long way in technology in a very short period of time, and it just isn't jiving. So something's not connecting. Like the crank is not hitting the wheels, right? So is this, or could this be where maybe we walk in? I'm not saying I walk in or you walk, but I'm saying, could you walk in and say, hey, listen, this guy is Fulani. He's an apologist for terrorists, or would that be non-productive? Would you be just met with, okay, yeah, shake your hand, glad hand you, and get you out the door?
No, I don't think there are people I believe in our intelligence that don't want to know the truth, and they have, like I said, they've been fighting very hard, tooth and nail, to say there's no Christian genocide, just to not even acknowledge that. And they're like, oh, well, we know this person. Well, because in the past, they worked with us in getting a couple terrorists up north, but completely ignoring the real problem. That's what I'm trying to say. And like, I've met with government officials, and they have flat out told me, we've never looked at the Fulani.
Well, I mean, they've never looked at it because it's like going into a forest, running into a guy and saying, where's the pheasant? And the guy knows the pheasant's like 3 feet away, and he says, that's way over there, and walks you off 3 miles the other direction. Right. The constant misdirection is what Africa is all about, right?
Right.
There's a reason why they call it the bush.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so how can we help you? I mean, I'm sure this is a totally different conversation you've ever had on an interview, but how can we help you?
And I appreciate it. It's kind of refreshing, actually. Never had this type of interview before, and thank you for this. It's been awesome. So how can people help us? Look, we're an organization. We're doing everything we can on the ground to save lives, help those in need. So you can go to equippingthepersecuted.org, partner with us, help us treat the wounded, help us with widows, help us with our orphans that we take care of, help us educate those where their schools have been blown up. We're trying to rebuild schools and get kids education. And just another statistic that most people don't talk about, there's 3.5 million Christians that have been removed from their homes, living in camps. They're called IDP camps, internally displaced person, which means you're a refugee in your own country. And they need all the help they can get. They're not getting it from the Nigerian government. They're not getting it from the UN. And they sure as hell never got anything from USAID. So we need all the help we can get to help our persecuted brothers and sisters in need. So go to equippingthepersecuted.org and partner with us today.
All right, I tell you what, I will become a donor personally, and I'll do my part on my side. So if you guys have it in that you can give to, please do. I'd love to talk to you offline about things that I know about the region. It's been some years since I've been there, but I like to say that I'm a walking encyclopedia of worthless information. I think that based on this information, you know that I have a pretty good working understanding of Nigeria. And yeah, so I wish you all the blessings that come with saving people in a region that is riddled with a lack of hope or lack of opportunity. So thank you for doing the work that you're doing, and you know, I'm incredibly grateful for it. And even the people in the United States, you don't understand that every country has its connections to the United States, and so you can't. It's like what I say about the tree. If you have 40% of your tree that is rotted and 60% that's good, do you take care of the 60%, or do you service the 40% so that you have a healthy, humankind? I think that's the big thing. So it's biblical. All right, God bless you, brother. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
All right, take care. So I know a lot about Africa, which is a continent, not a country. I've had people say, I went to Africa. I'm like, all right, which part? They're like, what? Nigeria is a very, very incredible place. And for those of you that don't know, my wife knows, my kids know, my family knows, I would drive by a Shell gas station. I'd run out of gas before I got gas at a Shell gas station. And part of the reason why is because I went to the Niger Delta, and I wasn't supposed to be there. And they had some sort of security bulletin. Americans, especially Mazungus, whites, were not supposed to be in that region, and yet I went anyway. And I remember going into this area, and I was like, this is gross. And it's like oil, and there's like little huts where they make gasoline. It's pretty crazy. And lots of people die by burns and everything else. But I just started asking questions and doing research on what happened there and how much they were able to buy all of the resources, rape the resources from Nigeria. And, you know, I understand a little bit of how people get to this place where they feel bad about ancestors. They feel bad about, you know, what happened 200 years ago or 300 years ago, and you had the slave trade and all this other stuff. And I'm always like in my brain going, yeah. Now, a certain portion of that is accurate, because in the oil boom, Shell went in there, created their own private war, killed, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people, stole all the resources for the equivalent of today's nickel. And when they were done, they just pulled the pumps out, created a wasteland, and left. And we're like, yeah, whatever. Like in Buka Buka. they treated it, and what I mean by that is that they basically had no conscience. It was like, no, it didn't matter. It didn't matter to them. And I'm not laughing about it, by the way. I'm disgusted by it. But you cannot even understand the lack of humanity that has to happen. And it's like you just turn your back, walk away, and you know what? You don't have to deal with it, because you never have to stare that problem in the face ever again. Now, that problem exists a lot in America too. Like, we do the same thing to our urban areas. But the people of Nigeria were some of the most gracious and beautiful people I ever met. And so when he talks about what China has done and comes in and buys up roads and basically swaps that for resources, you can say whatever you want about China, but China comes in and delivers. They'll actually put in a really good road. They'll do some things on their side in order to deliver. And then they expect their stuff in return on their side, which is natural resources, which they obviously have an abundant need for. Russia does the same thing. Russia will come in, but I'm going to just tell you something about Russia. Like, we get mad at Russia and we get mad at China, but the reason why they're able to do business there for a long period of time, and America has been shunned in a lot of those areas, is that we'll come in and we'll blow up this little small group, and we have these two bigger groups that are, doing more harm, but we don't identify them or do anything about them, because frankly, they make money for a couple people that are even inside that security apparatus that's trying to feed intel to the president of the United States. So it's a very dirty world. It's a dirty world. And frankly, the people of Nigeria don't matter to the people that are in the United States. And we talk about them as tokens or pawns. And, I think they do matter to President Trump. I think the idea of killing Christians, they do matter. But to the people that are making money in those areas and have investment interests in those areas, they don't. They don't. It's a sunk cost for doing the work that they're going to do there. So, I don't. Give if you can. Equipping the Persecuted seems like an organization. I will follow their 990s and the things that they do to make sure they do what's right. But we have another guest that's coming in as well. But before we actually go to that and go to our guest, we can actually bring Sam on. I've met Sam several times. I went down to New York, got to meet him down there. He has Your News Media. He's got some pretty innovative technology, some pretty cool stuff. I want to see if he actually went public yet. I know he was working on that before. But before we go to him, or on the heels of going to him, you guys didn't hear it. Did you hear the news? Did you hear what just happened? I just put it in the notes so you can have it. See it? Let's pull that up. You can just pull up whatever one you want. Let me start reading it as they actually get this ready. President Trump just put this out. I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. All others gave up because of the massive voter fraud encountered. We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never seen before, by signing an executive order to bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections. Remember, the states are merely an agent to the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them for the good of our country to do. With their horrible radical left policies like open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender and woke for everyone, and so much more, Democrats are virtually unelectable without using these completely disproven mail-in scam. Elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots and voting. And everybody, and particularly the Democrats, knows this. And the Republican Party, I will fight like hell to bring honest and integrity back to our elections. The mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are a complete and total disaster must end now. Remember, without fair and honest elections and a strong and powerful border, you don't have a semblance of a country. Thanks for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. So let's bring Sam in. We can talk about this itself. Sam, welcome to the show.
Hey, Joe, how are you, man? By the way, it was West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach, yeah. We went to a little tiki bar, I think it was.
Yeah. You had mentioned, you said New York, so it was.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize.
Well, good to see you.
I thought I said Florida. What's that? It's good to see you. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit of time. So how are things going at Your News?
They're going great. I mean, we've been just growing every day, every week. We keep, onboarding content creators. I mean, the whole thing with Nick Shirley kind of just, validated what we're doing, right? Everything's going to a citizen press. Yeah. And, we now have just under 5,600 content creators. So it's moving along.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. 5,600 is a lot if you don't know it.
It actually is.
Yeah. So what did you think about what I just said about President Trump? And you obviously know that when we met before, I was deep in the middle of being sued for the fraudulent systems, the election systems.
I'm surprised it took this long for him to make this announcement. I mean, this is the reason that we have all these problems. And, I was expecting it earlier, but at least he's starting now. I mean, what do we have? 10 months to the midterms, something like that, I think it is, right? So it's good that he's starting the process now. What I wonder is, could he override a state? And yes. My guess would be, if it's a federal election, then he should be able to do it. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
It is this idea that a state has the ability to do whatever they want is bunk. Okay, so you have a bowl of jelly beans. The jelly beans are the states. The jar that holds the jelly beans, that's the federal government. The jelly beans are in absolute complete chaos if you don't have the jar. right? And when treason is done on a state-by-state basis, and they steal slowly the sovereignty of citizens of states, then the government has a right, being the jelly bean container, to step in and say, oh, no, 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 no. We are going to protect the citizens because they are citizens of the United States. They operate as a citizen of the United States, and every single citizen should have equal rights. And that is not what is happening in the United States. They've gotten off the reservation, and they're basically changing the rules in every state and creating an environment where they can, with impunity, all you have to do is steal one set of elections and gain control of it. And so you have to have an apparatus above it that is saying, I can recognize that this is fraudulent and that this actually affects the sovereignty of the whole, right? So this is all the whole thing when you look at the supremacy clause and the ability for the federal government to step in when there is dishonest and or fraudulent and or treason that is committed against the people.
So, Joe, the question is does it Congress that makes this decision, or is it actually the president who can force this on the states?
I think the president can force it on the states because right now, I mean, he's got one of two choices. He can sign the executive order, and the executive order will press down these things to the states, no machines, no mail-in ballots, right? And all the blue states are going to fight it. The red states won't, right? Or a vast majority of the red states won't. They'll say, okay, well, let's put this to bed one way or another, right? But remember, we have a lot of information right now. We have the head of the security apparatus for Venezuela that came forward and said that they stole elections. You have people that came forward with evidence as whistleblowers that have proven that they've used these machines and that the people involved in it committed crimes. We also have a massive amount of files related to the election fraud by people inside of these election machine companies.
So, I totally agree. I mean, I'm on your side. What I'm wondering is, with all this evidence that shows fraud, why has nobody went to jail for this? That's what blows my mind. It's like everybody's waiting for the perp walks. Look at Georgia, and Georgia. What was her name? The attorney for Trump that ended up almost getting disbarred, if not getting disbarred. She had to plead guilty.
Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell, yeah, and she had to go through all this crap because she claimed that Georgia had a fraudulent election, and then it turns out that they now admit that 315,000 votes were all BS, right?
So why didn't they go to jail?
Well, what I'm saying is does that mean Giuliani could come back and get back all his legal fees and get undone what happened to him? Can Sidney Powell do the same thing? Can Trump do the same thing?
They should. They absolutely should.
I mean, but this has just gotten ridiculous, Joe. I mean, this has gotten to the point where, and I almost think if the blue states won't participate, great, then you're not allowed to participate in a presidential election. So your votes don't even matter. We won't even accept them.
Yeah, but again, you can't rewrite the mechanisms. You can only right the ship for the mechanisms that were put in place in order to steal the sovereignty of a nation, right? And look, I want to get emotional with you, right? I do. I want to burn shit to the ground, and I've gone through 5 years of a lot, right? This has not been the funnest 5 years of my life. I mean, I'd like to say the previous 5 years were pretty awesome. The last 5 years, I can't go to the gym as much because I'm always working. I mean, like everything is just, I could just sit here and complain. I don't get enough time with my family. I work too much. I mean, I could just start. I had balance in my life. I don't have any balance. With that said, that's an emotion. What I just said is emotional, right? Let's look factual. President Trump is fighting a war inside of our own government. There are people in our government that are fighting against President Trump. It is literally an act of sedition and an act of treason happening every single day inside of our government, and there's a war among people. Would you agree?
Completely.
So
I mean, it's like having a team, a football team, and your own blockers are playing against you, right? That's what he's going up against.
So with that said, President Trump has to put the executive orders in place. And when he puts the executive orders in place, he might have to end up signing the Insurrection Act. He's got all the information. He's got all the election fraud information. I think the fear that he has is that how much do you have to undo if you go back 20 years? How much do you have to undo? Do you have to get rid of every judge? I think you do. I think every judge that was appointed by anyone that used these machines, that was put in a position of power, they got to go. I mean, we're already talking 600, 700, 800 billion dollars, billions with a B, in fraudulent transactions against the American taxpayer, nearly 10% or more of the federal budget every year that goes to Somalis and all these different grift environments. So, I mean, let's.
Yeah.
What are we going to undo? What are we going to undo?
I don't have the answer to those, Joe. I'm blown away. I saw that number myself, $700 billion, and I went, you got to be kidding me. So how do you get your arms around that mess? I mean, to me, I believe the way to solve this problem would be really simple. Shut off the federal government from being able to give a nickel to anything. Leave it all to the states and don't give the states any money. And the ones that are committing crimes, if you don't catch them, eventually they'll all go bankrupt and they'll have to keep taxing their people more.
Well, that's what they've done. They've not only taxed people more. I mean, we're at 56 cents on every dollar. We got toll roads on every street except for, I think, 12 states? And how about property tax? I mean, property tax means you rent your house from the government. You rent your property from the government. You don't own it. You own nothing. And like it.
Well, they're working on fixing that here in Florida. We'll see what happens in November.
But the reason why they're fixing it is because the American people, we're at a breaking point. I mean, I talked to lawyers and judges, and I've talked to all sorts of people. Doctors, you name it, blue collar, white collar, they're all saying the same thing. Joe, the system is literally enslaving us. We can't move left, we can't move right. You got flock cameras now in every corner. You got the police treating everyone as if they're criminals. You get pulled over for speeding, but they can't take care of the bums on the street. It doesn't make sense.
I agree. Yeah, well, look, I just wouldn't even know where to begin in fixing this mess, Joe. Think about it. I mean, it's so massive in scope. The one way is to shut off all the funds so nobody can get any funds. The way I look at it is you have a bunch of people in Congress that are bank robbers. And if you completely turn off the faucet, all the ones that are robbing are going to leave. You'll just watch them go because there's no reason to be there anymore. They're going to go to the private sector and figure out how they can steal from them. That's it. So I'm on the same page with you.
All right, so how do we fix it?
Good. Well, that's the $1 million question. I mean, this is what Trump's in there for. I don't have all the answers on how to fix it. That's what we elect somebody.
I can tell you how to fix it. You ready? Free and fair elections. You get rid of the machines, you get rid of the mail-in ballots in person, and you make sure you follow a certain system, and that will reset the calibration of how people, the community can vote towards it. And you repeal the Smith Modernization Act, repeal that completely, make it illegal for the news outlets to lie to the people.
And, well, they're not supposed to lie to the people.
Yeah, they are. Actually, it's legal.
Well, no, it is legal. They could be sued, but it's a shame that it all had to come to this.
They can't be sued. Smith Modernization Act. He sued them for defamation against them, right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about propaganda so large and grandiose that makes the Democrats look like what they're doing is sensible and not ridiculous. Like we service the ridiculous, where they can lie about what President Trump is doing. Because just so you know, he sued him in his private capacity when he was not the president, not in his public capacity as the president, right? They continue to lie about him today.
They do. But I will say this, Joe, that they're not going to be around more than another 4 or 5 years. I just can't imagine it. I mean, with technology advancing the way it is, they're becoming obsolete. Even if they weren't telling the truth, it's an antiquated product. It's like the horse and buggy or, the telegraph. All that stuff eventually is going to be gone. And what'll replace it will be, citizen journalist platforms where, the people can report the news, and it'll be people that it'll be your neighbor, somebody you trust. That's where it's all headed. I mean, look what happened with Nick Shirley. I mean, he was a nobody, probably never went to journalism school. All of a sudden, he breaks the biggest story that's happening, in the last few months. So but there needs to be millions of him, and there are, and it's all coming. So that's what ultimately will replace the legacy media. So I agree with you. I think they should make it so they can't lie to the public, but who determines what's a lie?
Well, you have a unique problem that gets resolved or gets created by what you're saying, because at the same time that the mainstream media, and I think we have to address this because we have to look at this from the perspective that independent media can also become your biggest nemesis. It can do the same thing that the mainstream media does, and it costs less. The reason why they were able to change public perception with and buy politicians is because there's only 7,500 of them. Right? I mean, you pay them $1 million a year or $1 million, and you bought them all for, a couple $1 billion, $7 billion, $8 billion, right? Dropping the hat for a foreign government. When you have independent journalists, you can buy them for a lot less. You could buy them just for followers. And you'll see people like the Krappenstein brothers that basically go out there and they write all of this rhetoric that attacks President Trump and rates. They're paid to do that. These are paid influencers, right? And they reach 1 million people or 2 million people. They spread this stuff. That's an independent journalist. They're operating as an independent influencer. And they got bought for, they could reach 1 million people or 10 million people, and they did it for 100 grand, 200 grand.
That's it. Yeah, people always ask me, do you fact check anything? I tell them no, there's no possible way we could. How could I know what happened at a city council meeting in some city? But it's the public that'll let us know. So, I would suspect if people are putting out false information, the public's going to say I was there, and that guy's lying. And then you look into it and you just get rid of those people. But I get what you're saying. Even the independent journalists could be bought.
Yeah. So let's talk about what independent journalism can do. So it can do good. What can be used for good can also be used for bad. And I want to talk about the apparatus that you and I talked about years ago when we sat and talked. And that is that the radical left has created a spider web of news organizations that basically share information, share stuff, and then they'll regurgitate an article across 50 different places so that it looks like it's a relevant article, even though it's a fraudulent and or misrepresentation of what's really happened. Right?
Right. Yes.
So they're 10 steps ahead of us when it comes to creating this lie, this propaganda in marketplace. So how do we fight that on the independent side when the independent side has already been infiltrated by this radical agenda, the Democrat Socialists of America and all these other people?
Honestly, because I do think about this. I haven't had any people posting false stuff because the public would let us know. To give you an example, I had something happen in Pittsburgh the other day, and somebody said that it was false, and I reached out to the journalists, and they said, no, Sam, it's all public information. Here it is, and they gave it to me. So the only thing I could say is eventually stuff like that will reach us. And then once it does, we'll just have to figure out who's, if it's true or not. And if it's false, then we'll just get rid of them. But that's really the only way you could do this, Joe. In order to have free speech, you really have to have a platform that allows it. But it has to be policed by the public, not Snopes or something that, George Soros puts in place.
So something like community notes that you have on X.
Yeah, something like community notes.
But you can actually game that system too. Look, I guess what I'm trying to get to is that I'm for what you're saying. Obviously, I'm a citizen journalist. I've been a journalist now for 13 years, right? I mean, this isn't my first rodeo. I've been reporting on stuff that most people wouldn't talk about in the mainstream media, and I've had friends at Fox that have fed me information over those 13 years that they were told you cannot run this, like the guy that was out to sea, what Judge said he was going to strip him of his parental rights. I think it was in 2014, but there was no way he could get back if he wouldn't show up at the meeting. He was going to take away his parental rights. So we were able to make sure that judge changed their mind. We had the Marine, or excuse me, the Marine that was down in Mexico that was being held for walking across the border. So, I mean, we've done some crazy stuff over the years. But with that said, you know, if the policing is if the apparatus itself is the community notes, I mean, like I'm really concerned. I'm concerned about what path we're going down and whether or not it's going to correct or fix what it is that we're facing.
Only time will tell, Joe. I mean, you know, we're going into something here, and you know, the people that are on my platform, you know, they have people that they trust and they watch or they read.
Yeah.
Those are their go-to people that they just consume the information hosted on our platform. So, you know, if somebody's coming out and pushing false narratives at some point in time, I would suspect we would find out about it. And then at that point in time, we determine if it is false, we'll just get rid of it. I mean, that's the only thing you can do. In order to have a free speech platform, you have to let the information flow. It's the only thing you can do.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. What do you think about what's happening in Florida, by the way? DeSantis, you think he ever has a chance to step back in that shoes? I mean, he wears some really big shoes, but.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're excited here, you know, about having the ability to be able to vote for, you know, no property tax, you know, for your home that's homesteaded. I think that's fantastic. I think that should be done in every state, but it's very easy to make up the revenue. All you do is just do some kind of consumption tax for the money that you're missing or that you're, you know, that you've lost for those revenues, and you could get it back. So it gives, you know, there's a lot of people in Florida are elderly and they have their homes. Some of them may not be able to make those payments on their taxes. And next thing you know, they're losing their homes that they paid cash for, that they've worked their whole lives to get. So I think it's really important that he gets this done. And remind you, it's going to a vote. It's not like they're going to vote on it. And it's going to be us that decides. So it's going to be interesting to see how the mainstream media twists this, Joe, you know, and tells people this is bad for you. You don't want it.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to react to it at all. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So what's yeah, I mean, look, we're in a polarizing environment, but not because of things that are sensible. Right? I mean, I talk to people every day, and they don't tell me that well, they're getting the illegals out of the country. It's not even a conversation piece we have. What we have a conversation about is the fact that the state government in Colorado has become so overbearing and intrusive that it becomes nearly impossible to do business in this state and make a profit, right? They talk about the fact that property taxes double. And I'm just talking about what's happening here. Like, my biggest problem is not the federal government and what they're doing to get rid of illegals. My biggest problem is that the impediments that this state puts in place that nearly destroys the lives of people that are just trying to find a better way or have opportunity for their families. Right, so we've got a serious problem going on right now. Serious, and we're not the only state with that problem.
I'm surprised you're still there. I mean, if you have the ability to leave these places, I mean, look at all the people coming to Florida from New York and New Jersey. I mean, they're coming here in droves. Watch what happens when property taxes, if that gets abolished here and there is no more property taxes, you're going to see a mass migration with people parking money and calling Florida their home. So, I mean, I'm just surprised you're there.
Look, I've never run away from a fight, and I've never seen a fight I didn't like, right? So I went to Texas for a bit and, to get away from it, mostly because if you step on my property in Texas, I can shoot you, right? So to me, it was more about having proximity and having a place around me where if you try to do harm to me, I could put you down like a dog. Colorado rules are a little different, and so I didn't want to put my family in a position where it could become litigious, right? I wanted to be able to hurt people who were trying to hurt me or my family. So it was a strategic decision, but Colorado's been my home for 30 years, and frankly, I don't want to abandon the people that are here that deserve an opportunity to take their state back. We're not a blue state. We're a red state. We're a red state that's been captured by really, really bad people. I call them the synagogue of Satan people. They're people that say that they're Jewish, but they're really not. They hide behind Jewish people and do really bad things. And, and then say that you're anti-Semitic if you call them out. Those are really bad people, and we have to separate the two, right? P. Diddy is not the same as Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson, right? Are those the same people? So we have to make sure we differentiate between these criminal elements, these criminal families that have set up shop, that you know what the tie is, that's synagogue of Satan tie, but we're not allowed to talk about it because then you become anti-Semitic. So we're going to take the state of Colorado back. We're going to make it better than Florida, and maybe you'll want to move here when we don't have property tax and tollways.
I hope you do. Okay. And by the way, if you say it's red, then the only thing you do is need to get rid of the voting machines, and everything will change. That's it.
Well, you still have to repeal, 20 years of appointments to bureaucratic positions that these radical leftist governors and others have done. I mean, it's bad. I mean, if you want to see, and our biggest problem is not even the radical left that become in positions of power. It's the weak pieces of trash that say that they're Republican that really do harm and betray their own people that they say they represent, right? It's just, you could be an R or D. It doesn't make a difference. You have people switching from D to R and R to D. You have people, it happens all the time. We have a guy named Abe Layden, most conservative area out there, runs as a conservative family, beautiful family, gets into office, and then decides that he's Tinkerbell. And he's gay, leaves his family, and becomes a radical leftist.
How the hell does that happen?
Because he was never a Republican to begin with. He was a closet gay that had kids. Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I mean, but just the fact to pull that off and get into office with your family and then leave your family. I mean, people were voting for somebody else, not him.
And look, there's plenty of gay conservatives, just so you know. Plenty of gay conservatives. Plenty. Lots. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that they tell you, I'm gay and I'm conservative. I'm gay and I'm liberal. Right? Here's a guy that went in under one pretense and left under another and created a lot of havoc. We have that a lot in our state. We have people that basically would sell their grandmother down the street, slit their throat, just didn't look at her, and betray the interests of the people of Colorado just to make a buck.
How in the hell are you going to fix that?
We're going to doge the state. We're going to give the people a voice. Look, I'm a firm believer that you go in and talk to the poorest among us. I want to go talk to the Democrats, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think actually Democrats and Republicans, if you look at people, the largest voting bloc in any state is what?
It's going to be white people.
Independents.
That's what you mean? Oh, independents. Okay.
Independents.
That's what you mean.
Yeah. Like white people. Yes, white people. But my point is this, is if you have these independents that are in the middle, why did they become independent? Because both sides suck equally, right? And then the Democrats and the Republicans, most of them actually believe the same things, other than some social issues that get propagated and a bunch of rhetoric that goes behind them. They just want life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. So go talk to the part that don't have opportunity or have food deserts or education deserts or opportunity deserts and say, look, what do you want? Nobody's even, when's the last time a politician ever walked in to a community and said, hey, what do you guys want? Wait, hold on. Oh, you want toll roads? Oh, yeah. No, you want to double your property tax? Oh, yeah, I can do that for you. Oh, wait, you want more regulation? You want to take away your gun rights? Ah, man, you know what? I'm going to go do this for you right now. Is that even a real thing?
Never happened. No.
So who are they listening to?
The special interest groups
that are making money on it.
That the whole thing is set up for money. That's the whole point of being in political office this day and age, is these guys get paid to do it. It's a business model, Joe. It was supposed to be a public service. Now it's not. It's a business model.
It was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And look, that's not being negative about it, by the way. That's just the reality. We don't have functionally brave or courageous politicians. We have President Trump, and then we have everybody else. I mean, look at Dan Bongino. Gee, man, Christmas, that guy. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I agree. This is where, you have a mess, because not only do you have it at the at DC level, but then you have all these different states. So thank God, at least we have a handful of states, these red states, that are operating, operating somewhat properly. But there's still fraud that goes on in all of them, and there's people in there that get into political office just to make money. Joe, I mean, we have by far the best Congress money can buy, and they don't serve our interests; they serve the interests of the people that are paying them. But you know this.
Yeah, no, I absolutely know it. So what's new for you? What are we going to do in 2026? What's your prediction? You just heard about the thing that President Trump said. Are we getting rid of machines? Are we getting rid of mail-in ballots? Are we going to war? What's the deal? What's happening?
I do believe that's going to happen. I've been hearing about that. I don't know if you know Steve Stern, Joe, but he's been telling me that for a while, that Trump is going to be eliminating those. And I said, I don't know how he can. I'm surprised it's taken him this long. The real question is, and this I want to ask you, what's your take on these tariffs? You think the Supreme Court's going to rule that Trump can do it? Because I was expecting him to come out with an answer in a week. It's been, what, 2 months?
Well, the problem is that they're carefully negotiating and crafting an answer, right? So they probably already finished the drafts, and now they're looking for the opening door. But what happens with the tariffs will largely dictate whether or not President Trump has to hit the little button of the Insurrection Act, because our country is completely off its rails. One of the people in the Supreme Court, at least one, Kujani Brown, is probably one of the dumbest human beings this side of the planet. I'm surprised that she's not Somali, because I think in their base IQ like 60 or something.
I don't know.
She's just not bright, right? So how did she get to that office? She was one of those control people they put in that place. They fed her and said, hey, look, you can be smart, and then she's just ridiculous. So I think personally, the Supreme Court has been the one thing to kind of measure or to kind of restore order a little bit, but it keeps restoring order incrementally, a little bit to the left, little bit to the left, little bit to the left. And that incrementalism is never going to favor the people. So I'd be surprised if they let him keep all of the tariffs or the ability to change tariffs, but he is the CEO. I mean, the commander-in-chief is the CEO of America. It is a financial institution. Frankly, if they ruled against him and not being able to do tariffs, they're basically saying that we no longer have a country.
I would agree. That's why I was interested in your opinion as to whether you think they're going to rule against it. Because to me, that just means I heard Trump say we have to give all the money back. I don't know if he's already dealing with lawyers that come drafting something else as to how they're going to be able to keep the money through some other way. But I'm curious to see what this answer is. Which way do you think it's going to go?
I think they're going to cut his legs out from under him going forward with some mechanisms, but I think they're going to allow the current tariffs in its current form to stand. And then they're going to, instead of actually ruling fully on it, they're going to direct and send it back to Congress and say that Congress should ratify it based upon these principles. That's what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to issue guidance. They're not going to make a full ruling. That's what I think is how they're.
And if this was a Democratic president, none of this would have ever came to this.
No,
it's just
because
they
don't care about the people. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. It doesn't matter if we're Republican or Democrat. The machine is meant to feed the machine. That's why they take more than 50% of what you have and they keep it, right? And then they send you bills and you have look, Sam, you ever sat in front of a judge and the judge is completely wrong in what they said, but you still got to say, yes, Your Honor?
No, I never have.
No.
I'm lucky. I've never been arrested, or I've never had to sit in front of a judge and have to tell me anything.
You've never had to sit in front of a judge?
No.
That's interesting. Have you had friends that have had to sit in front of a judge?
I would suspect, yes. I never really asked, but probably my friends probably had it coming, and the judge was telling the truth.
See, that's the problem. That's what you just said is the problem. It's the problem.
What did I say? That's the problem.
Well, I mean, to think that the justice system is just, that it's actually designed to take care of the people, it's not. It never has.
I believe you. Right. I just have been lucky that I've never had to go sit in front of a judge before, and I don't want to sit in front of a judge.
Yeah, well, I think that the reason you have to say yes, Your Honor, and you got to capitulate to a person that frankly is not your master, but they make him your master. makes you a slave. And I believe that a lot of what we have going on in America has nothing to do with what's better for the people. We just have to embrace the new suck, right? And we don't get accountability. And the haves, tell me when the last time someone got arrested in the government for doing bad stuff.
Good question. I don't see any accountability for any of these people.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I think President Trump's going to get to it. I think he's going to get to it. But
I was going to say that's what Mark Fincham told me. I was in Arizona for the Turning Point event, and I had lunch with him. And I said, Mark, what's going on? And he, anybody going to get arrested? He said to me, it's coming. Give it some time, but it will absolutely happen. I said, well, I hope so. I don't have any information coming from the White House or anything like that. So I don't know what information he has, but he seems pretty confident it's going to happen.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I agree with it. Well, what do you think about the pipe bomber deal?
So refresh me on that, Joe, just because I know this was something that happened back in 2000, what? 2021 or whatever it was.
It's happening in January 6th, 2021, January 5th, 2021.
And they caught him.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't though. Steve Baker caught him with a gate analysis, and it was a Capitol Hills police officer that they then went to go work for the CIA. Caught her dead to rights. Like the FBI was literally casing out the house right next to her because they traced her all the way back using the card of the what's it called, subway. I mean, Seraphin and others were on this stakeout. Right next to it. They caught her. We verified everything. Then the FBI comes in, swoops in, and tries to get Steve Baker fired, along with other people trying to get her fired. And then 3 weeks later, because of all of this that happens with the FBI, in swoops the government and says, we're going to arrest this black kid from Woodbridge, Virginia, that's autistic, that drives around and does Uber Eats. And that's the pipe bomber who walks weird and has a disproportionate leg to body ratio. And then the DOJ fails to file certain things, and one of the charges against him gets dropped because the DOJ fails to do the right thing and misses a deadline.
So the person who did it is a Fed or CIA?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay,
yes.
So I hadn't been keeping up on this story. So the person who did it was a Fed. So obviously it was intentional. They were instructed to do it. Correct?
Yes.
Have they figured that out yet?
No. And they said that he admitted it. I mean, I'm not sure he could admit anything. None of it makes sense, right? Here's what I know to be a fact. They were able to trace back and forensically find out that this woman, who was a Capitol police officer, used to be a star soccer player, was the pipe bomber, traced it all the way back to her house in Virginia, right? Mm-hmm. Right to the front door, right? And all of a sudden, that all became bunk. It's not true. They did everything they could to cover it up. They all came out and screamed and yelled, had influencers do all this stuff. And then they arrest this guy and make this big deal. We've caught the pipe bomber. Just happens to be a couple weeks after Steve Baker did his deal, and they tried to get him fired. But no, we caught him. He's a young kid who has some radical ideologies.
So how does this all come back into play? Because you're talking about something that happened 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right?
No, they just arrested him. It's just happened.
So this just happened with the kid?
Yeah. Dude, we got to get you to read your own app, bro.
I know, because I'm up to date on a lot of things. This whole pipe bomber thing, I really never paid much attention to because it was old news.
Well, the news is that you took a journalist who's a really good journalist to catch him. And then when they caught him, they didn't want him to get caught because the apparatus of look. And then you got to get into conspiracies and whether it's conspiracy theory, and then your head starts to hurt. But then you're like, why would you cover up the crime? And it's the FBI that's run by Kash Patel, that you probably heard what I just did there, that is supposed to be doing things for the better of the people, but he's playing basically Chris Frey Jr.
And you actually think Patel is
Awful.
in on this? You don't think he's good? Okay, because
I think he's the shittiest FBI director in the history of the department. I think they should abolish the FBI completely, shut it down, burn the doors down, do whatever they need to do, close it up. It serves no purpose for the American people at all. That's what I think.
that I agree with.
And it's no better with Kardashian Patel.
Yeah,
He's more
I've
interested
talked
in
to
bling
friends.
bling and yeah.
I have friends that are law enforcement, police, and they say there's nothing they could do that we can't do. So there's no real need for them. They could just migrate right over and work at the police stations.
I know what they can do. I know what they can do that the police stations can't do.
Cover up crimes.
Create crimes out of nowhere and then arrest the people for it, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So full immunity to do whatever they want. Just walk around like, you walk into a room with 10 guys, you get to know all these guys. Turns out that all 10 of them are FBI agents working you. They're like 11 guys caught, 10 unindicted co-conspirators, conspirators, and Joe Oltmann.
A guy that I was talking to worked in D.C. told me that everybody knew that the feds were just an arm of the Democratic Party.
Yes,
that's what he told me. To enforce what they needed to get enforced. So that being said, what the hell are they needed for?
I think that's my issue. That's my issue. Look, let me ask you a question, Sam. You just want to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, right? Is that pretty much it? Does that pretty encompass what you want in your life?
100%.
All right. How do you get that with all the conflict and all of the roadblocks that are put in place around our communities, our states, and our country that we currently have? How does anybody maneuver through that?
You don't. It's become much harder to be able to earn a living. When I was in my 20s, I made more than I make today. Think about that, right? And that was when gas was like 40 or 50 cents a gallon. I don't remember what the hell it was. It was cheap. And, you could buy a loaf of bread for 50 cents. Milk was $1. We're talking, 40 years ago. So it's become much harder because of all the regulations. Basically what happened is, the government saw everybody making money and figured out how do we get our hands on it? And they created regulation where it only flows to a handful of people, and those people bribe them through what's called campaign contributions. And that's how your what did you call it? The apparatus, how it works. And that's what has to change. And you have too many people in power that are working for the betterment of themselves and for not the people that they represent.
Yeah. All right. Well, I tell you what, we're in a kind of a weird place. President Trump just did that announcement, so I hope that works out well. I hate to not be able to give the government any sort of any slack or grace, but I can't. They've proven themselves to be completely incompetent fools who like to persecute and treat people horribly in our country. So, Sam, what's next, bro? What's next for you? You're gonna
for me, we're an independent media. Well, I should say a platform, and we're building a network of content creators across the United States and even the globe. I probably have 70 or 80 people, out of this country that produce world news for me almost every single day, right? Which is kind of cool. So, to me, there's three ways to solve this problem. Certainly that, you want to control the press, or at least put the power of the press in the hands of the people. What the hell is that? Chinese?
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah, it looks like I can't read it. But, so for us, it's really just, build. And we're building a platform that is a complete citizen-powered press. We're putting the power of the press in the hands of the people. And, what I envision is not only in the United States, but on a global level, as we expand and open up other countries, we've got, I think we have, what I tell you, about just under 5,600 content creators. And there's about 700,000 of them that call themselves freelancers on LinkedIn. 500, I think 480,000 freelancers, and there's almost a couple 100,000 student journalists. Joe, these people have nowhere to go. So what we provide is opportunity. And, our platform kind of would be like a YouTube. You know how on YouTube, anybody can have a YouTube channel and, it's all independent news reporting and the cream rises to the top. You don't have to go to broadcast journalism school to have a YouTube channel. Well, with us, we provide technology where everybody could be a local news reporter, and the cream is going to rise to the top. You don't have to be somebody that has been in the news business before. You don't have to have a journalism degree. And if you don't believe me, look at Nick Shirley. Explain that. I don't think you went to journalism school, broadcast journalism school, did you?
No, I went to
So this is where it's all headed. And for me, what I'm trying to do is build a massive independent media outlet. That's all.
Look, I believe that that there is no such thing as journalism school. Journalism is truth. And if you can report on the truth and you can speak the truth and you can write the truth and you can present the truth and you can do some just basic ethical digging into things and ask the right questions, then you're a journalist.
That's all it is. You hit it right on the head.
It's not hard.
No, this is not rocket science. And if you can't write well, you could use AI to plug in the notes. And, once you get something you want, you could publish. Just that simple. So we live in a day and age where technology allows for anybody to become a news reporter. And this is where it's all headed. So that's me. My focus is to scale this up and build it. This year's my year.
All right. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks. We'll make sure everybody gets on your platform. But Sam, it's good to see you. I hope I get to see you down in Florida. Hopefully I get down there in the next couple months. Actually,
let me know.
That. Yeah.
Let me know. Yeah, I moved up a little bit north, not far, from where I was before, like 25 minutes north. So,
Where'd you go?
Martin County. Martin County.
Martin County.
Palm Beach and then Martin.
Okay. All right.
Not very far.
One of my close friends lives in, what is wrong with me? I was just there. Near Merritt Island.
Is it in Palm Beach County or Martin?
It's near Merritt Island. Up north.
Okay. It's north of me, yeah.
A little bit north of you, yeah. Nice, though. Weather's nice.
It's beautiful here in Florida. We've been having such nice weather, so I can't complain.
It's beautiful in Colorado. We get 300 days of sunshine. I can go up the mountains and crush it.
I think you live in a beautiful state. It's the politics I'm not crazy about.
Hey, listen. God only gives you what you can handle, and he does reveal things. You just have to be willing to fight for it, right? So I'm going to fight for it, man. I'm going to fight for my people. And I'm not fighting for the Democrats or the Republicans. I'm fighting for the people. The people deserve an opportunity, to have a voice, to not feel like they're slaves. And
well, you're the guy.
Yeah.
You can do it.
I'll keep doing what I'm doing. All right. God bless you, brother.
All right. Thanks. Good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you, brother. He's a great guy. And go check out his app. It's a pretty cool app. Actually, it's a really good app. And he's been working on it for a long time. He's been in the middle of it for a long time. All right, I'm going to just go through a few things with you, and then I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to try and get to the gym. It is my New Year's resolution, like it is everybody else, to get back to the gym and doing the things you would. And I'm in fairly good shape for a guy that is not going to the gym as much as he should, right? But I got a little bit of this like chin thing going on as I get older. It's starting to bother me. So I'm gonna take care of that and get in the gym, start working out quite a bit. So you tell me how it goes over the next 8 to 12 weeks. It should go fairly well for me. That and this freaking camera, it puts like 30 pounds on me. Can't you guys get me a better camera? Seriously. Everybody says you're fat. I'm not fat. Right? But I went and looked at a picture of me and I was like, I feel like my chin is a little, I need to maybe, so working out. So one of my trainer friends said, just go work out. Just like get back in like rip shape. Drop 15 pounds and you'll lose the second person shadow. But you still need a better camera is what he said. But it works out well. You're not fat for a fat guy. No, I'm actually not fat. Am I fat? Chunky? I have fun with it because people say stuff and I'm like, I don't have any time to do anything. I need to go back to the gym. So I'm going to head back. All right. Can we talk a little bit about all this other stuff? Can we talk about it? Here's Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota. Just this 10 seconds, but go ahead and push it.
Our neighbors are being disappeared. P.S. Without due process, it is just called kidnapping. Then show up and use your voice. Put your body on the line.
Yeah, so by the way, this loudmouth is the reason why Renee died. Live to see another day. Do you know that I would love, there'd be nothing I would love more than to hurt certain persons. And I could do it. You put me in a room with a few of these people, I will throw them around like a rag doll. I would put some serious pain on them. But do I? No. No, I choose that I let God handle what God's going to handle, and I continue walking consistently down a path and calling for consequences against those that commit crimes. There was a protest yesterday outside, and police were forced to pull back after they were assaulted. Let's go and play it.
And there'll be more videos. We're in a world with lots of videos, which is a good thing for getting to the truth.
Let's look at this live shot that we're seeing right now. We just saw some black vehicle vans moving their way through, and now you see snowballs flying in this group of individuals that are moving. You've got law enforcement in the front of this group that look like they're walking backwards, so they're being pushed, is the way it looks, backwards by protesters who are throwing snowballs at them right now. Let's bring in Victor Avila. Let's stay on this live shot as we bring in Victor, retired ICE special agent, now assistant director for the Office of National Drug Control.
So I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen. There's going to be tolerance until there is no tolerance. And they're throwing snowballs and they're blocking cars, and they shot at ICE agents before. This rhetoric is getting ratcheted up on the left. I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten death threats in just the last week. Right? And let me tell you, I'm all about it. Heads on a swivel at all times. I will hesitate not 1 minute. They have to hesitate. I don't have to hesitate at all. And the death threats come at me, and I'm not an ICE agent on the street having to deal with an armed criminal that they're actually trying to take into custody and get them out of the country. You got that, and you also have people that are being fed information that I think is dangerous. And it's CNN and Fox News is just as bad. They're out there trying to stand in the middle of the road, not talk about the reality of it. Nobody will give statistics that, hey, we got rid of all these gang members, we got rid of all these people here illegally, these people committed crimes. We haven't even gotten rid of the Somalis yet up in Minnesota and other states. We should be driving them out by truckloads. Oh, you want to steal $700 billion from the American people? Look, let me just tell you this. Why is it that Somalis get free health care or free daycare? Free daycare. It's free. They get free daycare. But an American who is here for 3 or 4 generations, grandfather, father, all the way down the line, that fought for this country, that worked for this country, they have to pay $2,000 per child for health care, for daycare. But these people get it for free. So you bring them here, you give them free stuff, and you work on the back of a single mom. I'm not talking about the guy that can afford to spend the $2,000 a month for daycare. I'm talking about the single mom who, let's just say that she's single mom, she makes $40, $50 an hour. She makes $8,000 a month. Well, you got $1,000 a month that goes to healthcare. You got 28% of your rent that goes to taxes, again, for your property tax. You spend $2,500 there, 50 cents on the dollar goes to the government. So your $8,000 became $4,000, and now you got to pay for healthcare for your child, daycare for your child. You want to know why they're winning on the abortion battle? Because you can't afford to even live. And then they give free money to illegals and say, here, free health care, free food stamps, free education, free. But it's not free. It's on the backs of Americans. So we become the daddy to people who then spit in our face and say that they deserve to be here. And that you better give us more. No, get the hell out. And the people that come here and assimilate to our society and do the things, I'll call them Asians. Let's just call them Asians. Because Asians, by the way, probably one of the most responsible group of people. And I don't mean India. I mean Asians, Koreans, Chinese, Japanese. Go ahead and tell me how many of those people represent in jail. It's not very many. Actually, the Chinese they got a bunch of Chinese, but there's a lot of them. It's like 1 billion of them. So you got a bunch of them that are bad guys here. So they end up in prison. But Asians, for the most part, they're some of the smartest people out there. They assimilate to society. They get along with pretty much everyone. Yeah, they're a little racist here and there, but if you treat them right, they're not. And they're not racist against anyone. They just hate everyone, even other Asians. Sorry, that's the reality. But the reason why people are pissed off in this country all the time is because they can't live. They can't survive. You got a tollway to go to road. You drive 65 miles an hour. If you drive 70, you're going to get pulled over. They're going to write you a ticket. You got flat cameras on every corner so they can track your every movement. If you God forbid you get a divorce and you're a father, you got to pay for all of this stuff over here, and there's no sorts of sensibility. And then you've got a court system that's designed to take as much money as they possibly can, and a prison system that is not about reforming at all. It's about creating animals so when they get out, they do more harm. I mean, it is crazy. And then you have things like, I can't even talk about it. It's so. Okay, that's like soup salad. Here's what's happening in Minnesota right now. Play it.
So I am in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is pretty much turned into the center of the political universe for ongoing federal raids involving fraud in the state, and then also ongoing ICE raids. This is the largest ICE operation in Minnesota in the country, according to the feds. And I want to show you what's going on right now, because after a woman was killed yesterday, there are protests all over the place. So, hold on. Okay. So those are some people screaming at the federal agents. That's them right there. And so what happens is they kind of will retreat, then they'll come back out. A short time ago, somebody spit on one of those federal agents. I was standing right there and saw it. He was taken into custody pretty quickly. They're Border Patrol agents that are out here. So they're...
I mean, let me just explain something to you just about statistics. That's really, so you understand it. The person, Renee, that was shot in Minnesota, she was from Colorado Springs. She wasn't from Minnesota. She went up there to become a professional protester. True story. So the people that are in Minnesota right now, they're all transplants, including the Somalis, right? So you have entire communities that have been created in order to grift and steal from the people. And some of the wealthiest people in that state are just ready to just get out. They're like leaving in droves. And California is the same thing. They have a proposition to put on the ballot to have a wealth tax for any billionaire. You have to pay 5% of what you have to the state. I mean, it's completely unconstitutional. You shouldn't be able to do it. Now, look, billionaires, they should pay their fair share, but the tax code is built for them, right? We know it's built for them. But still, what they've done to businesses, what they've done to billionaires, what they've done to people they're trying to kill the spirit of innovation, kill the spirit of who people are. They are picking winners and losers. So here's a protest in New York City last night. This just kind of popped up. Let's play it. You see all the people wearing masks? You want to know why? Because they're all paid. These are all paid protesters. And by the way, there's 11 million people in New York and there was like 200 people there. Who cares? Why are we making policy decisions when if you go to any leftist out there that puts up a post, they are ratioed 5,000 to 1. And Elon Musk has done a great job, by the way, of getting rid of bots, getting rid of bot accounts. But Demcast has millions of them. And they still can't keep up to the ratioing that's happening on even Dan Bongino. You can't stop it. But no, you convinced me. You convinced me that the millions of people just flocked back to damn Bongino. That's not true either. All right. Here's a protest tonight in New York City against ISIS being paid for and organized by PSL, New York's PSL. PSL. That's what PSL means. PSL. PSL means Party of Socialism and Liberation. Just got a tweet that showed it. So my attorneys, you're going to love this, right? But I've had to keep my mouth shut. I hate keeping my mouth shut. I wanted to be the first one to tell you all the stuff that's happened. We've had these things have happened over the last couple of weeks, which I've been nervously kind of looking at going, oh, this could be it. This could really just be the last. I mean, still these people are going to get arrested, but somehow I'll talk about it. But one of the comments we got back, they used the letters PSL, and I didn't know what it meant. And then I look up and I see this. All right, so let me read this to you real quick. Expose the protest tonight in New York City against ICE being paid for and organized by PSL New York City, the Party of Socialism and Liberation. They are funded by Neville Roy Singham, who lives in China and works with the CCP. He donated over $20 million to entities like the Justice and Education Fund, which supports Party for Socialism and Liberation activities like protests. He also funds groups with heavy Party for Socialism and Liberation leadership overlap. In other words, and a huge network of organizations of professional protesters working to take down America. The protests in America will never stop until we arrest the people who are funding and organizing them. I agree with that 1,000%, just so you know. Arrest them all. And you know what? The people that are in positions of power and authority that have betrayed us, that were working with the Venezuelan government, that worked for every single one of these, just round them up for these voting system companies, arrest them all. And this handoff that happened to Liberty Votes, that's bullshit too. It's all a lie. Every bit of it is a lie. And the fact that they won't show us what Liberty Vote paid for Dominion voting system, that's a scam too. Why is it that a company that runs the vote of the freedom of Americans can hide a financial transaction? They shouldn't be able to do it. But you know what? They see you as a slave. And so that's one of those other just enslaving things. It looks like we have a cut from Kyle Clark. Kyle Clark. I love talking about Kyle Clark. Man, Kyle Clark is the gift that keeps on giving. Kyle Clark is the Antifa activist journalist, if you want to call him that, little boy of 9 News, the Antifa network. We call it the Communist Network News of Colorado that's been infiltrated. They murdered a man named Lee Keltner, murdered him in cold blood with an unlicensed security guard who went to a Back the Blue event, came out and literally antagonized Lee Keltner, and then he shot him in the face. While he was backing away. Got away with it because then the city and county of Denver decided they want to charge him with murder. I did send a note to the federal government asking them to go after Matt Doloff for killing Lee Keltner. I did. I sent an entire package that says you can federally charge them with murder. It was at a political event to Back the Blue. You can charge Matt Doloff. There is no statute of limitations. And I hope they take it up, and I hope Matt Doloff goes to prison for the rest of his life or worse. But here's Kyle Clark talking about J6. Now, the left, and I said this before, they are never going to get to the place, you are never going to get to the place on the left where these guys cede the fact that they know what they're doing is wrong. You want to know why? Because then they'd be complicit and it'd be criminal. So they have to continue to go down this path where they play out this charade, right? Because that's what evil does. It plays out the charade over and over and over again. But here's what Kyle Clark had to say about J6.
5 years since the pro-Trump mob attacked the Capitol and the police protecting it, President Trump continues to rewrite history, calling it a day of love and celebrating his triumphant pardon of his supporters who assaulted law enforcement. Blaming police for what happened that day, saying he was betrayed by his own vice president who wouldn't overturn his election loss. But Americans know what happened on January 6th. We have all seen the video with our own eyes. But 5 years later, a shrinking number of Americans can now tell the truth about what happened without fear of consequences. Can a Republican in Congress or just about anywhere in elected politics these days tell the truth about January 6th without consequences? No way. Can a journalist tell the truth about January 6th without consequences? Increasingly, it depends on which media company the journalist works for. Can everyday Americans tell the truth about January 6th without consequences? It depends on whether you're willing to risk family, friends, maybe even an employer turning on you. If we lose the ability to tell the truth without fear, to tell the truth about the most obvious things, well, then I'll just say it plainly. We are in danger.
All right. So let me just tell you something. First they lie, then they lie again. Then they lie again. Then they tell you that they're lying while they lie even more. And then they lie again. And then they lie again. And then they lie again. Now, the entire time that they're lying to you, they started the conversation years ago by saying that live your truth. So it doesn't matter what everybody thinks. It's your truth. You get to dictate what truth is. See, they moved the goalposts. They took out ethics, took out morals, and they replaced it with this thing called ambiguity. And so now they can lie to you and they can believe what they say. They can believe the lies that they tell you every single day. And you're supposed to believe them. So here's what I said about Kyle Clark, and I had to write this down. Kyle Antifa Clark. He went on a diatribe about truth, and he used the old psychological tactic of we all saw the video. You missed that part. You said we all saw the video. Well, we did. We saw the videos that the mainstream media hid from us. We saw the videos of what they lied to us about. They didn't show us the videos of the police shooting tear gas and trying to instigate the crowds. They didn't show that at all. They didn't show them actually letting people into the Capitol, or the fact that there were hundreds of FBI agents that were there to antagonize and to create a scene that they then can use later to attack the very people that were at the Capitol to fight for a redress of grievance. We saw that, but I didn't write that. I just wrote this. I said, LOL, yes, we did. We watched as the mainstream media lied with impunity, but Kyle is clever. He long ago stated that you have your truth, so lying about J6 is easy as moving your feet for this guy. Did he report on the bribery case involving Weiser and the Governor Polis? No. Did he report on Eric Coomer running into a building and lying to police? No. Did he report fairly about the smoke, Lindell trial and about the Lindell trial and the outcome? No. Has he reported the truth about anything? No. This man is one of the most dangerous men, if you want to call him a man, in Colorado. Why? Because shaping truth to fit a narrative of ideology is not truth. It is evil, demonic, and outright dishonest. J6 was about Americans recognizing they were not heard, and massive election fraud against the American people was afoot. Yet much like what the CIA and the perverted who look to destroy our nation, people like Kyle Clark are used as sticks to beat down truth, not report on it. They find joy in the degradation of societal norms, and they do it with a crooked smile and psychopathic mindset. No one believes Kyle Clark anymore. He is insignificant. And as they say, the emperor has no clothes. We can see the evil through his Lululemon pants, and yes, his crooked smile. J6 persecutions were an attack on the ethos of our nation, another manufactured fraud on the people. It was evil doing what evil does. Kyle Clark is evil. 9 News is not an organization of news. It's one of being the earner and enforcer for a crime family that seeks to destroy and enslave the people. That's Kyle Clark for you. If you live in Colorado and you watch Kyle Clark, if you watch 9 News, if you spend any time on 9 News, you are doing yourself a disservice. Now, they say that they're getting sold to someone else. Is that the same someone else that we talk to when we talk about what happened with Liberty Vote and the Dominion voting systems and the email that went out that says it's business as usual, just a different name? Is it that kind of transaction? Or is it real change of news that gets back to what real truth is, the only truth, one truth? There's only one truth. There is no your truth. If you think there's a your truth, there's something wrong with you. and you've just been fooling yourself. So Kyle Clark is one of those dangerous people that I think we should always talk about, because he's what causes a lot of the rift that happens in our community, and he's the one that seeks and destroys anything and everything that opposes this radical, evil ideology that exists here in Colorado. So shame on you, Kyle Clark. Oh, but if you want me to come on and talk about, you know, my violent rhetoric that you lied about before, I'd love to do that too. Just call me. Call me. That's all we got today, I think. We don't have a whole lot else. Patrick, you did a great job yesterday. You crushed it. And we had a couple of good guests, I think. Today was pretty awesome. But let's pray it out. And, oh, yeah. So we have an episode tomorrow where we'll have David Clements on. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Make sure you share it. Make sure that you show up early. We're also going to spend a little bit of time talking about Raul. Now, a couple days ago, I played and showed you a couple of clips about FBI agents and CIA agents talking to Raul. And instead of actually saying, hey, what information do you have? Now, they texted back and forth of, how do we put money in your pocket? Romania is what we call the wild, wild west. Anything goes in Romania. Balkan nations, much the same. But Raul was just a different guy. And he just wanted to get to the bottom of all the fraud that was existing, even inside of the FBI and Fox IT and all these other organizations. And he did a pretty good job doing it. Then they threw him in jail. And so we're going to talk a little bit to David about that. You know, what's happening with President Trump, and now we see an executive order getting ready to drop, and the constant arrest that we're going to see here very shortly. I have a lot of confidence in what President Trump does, because he just wills it. He wills it. Now, do I think that everyone in his administration is good? No. Obviously, I think that Dan Bongino left because he didn't have the stomach for it. He's a paper tiger. And do I think that Kardashian Patel represents, well, what they did to the pipe bomber, and what they did to Steve Baker, and what they did to the Suspendables, I find to be abhorrent. I think he's just what you think of when you think of little Indian man. But, you know, what do I know? Tomorrow's going to be fire. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow. And but I will say this, you still have to stay deep in prayer. So pray, stand, speak, act. And tomorrow we'll get to talking to David to kind of round out the week. So should we pray? Let's pray. Father God, thank you for all of it. I mean, just the last 5 years. I said it's been difficult, but I'm grateful for the experiences. I'm grateful for the people that have entered my life. I'm grateful for the fact that we've been able to wake up Patrick. I had a great conversation with him this morning. I just asked questions. And, you know, the one thing that I can say, Father, is that as you pull things back and you give us access to what's in front of us, conversations become more dull when you talk to people who just don't know. And so I am grateful that I can be counted among those that can see with my eyes and hear with my ears. I'm grateful for the people that have fought so graciously and so courageously. I'm thankful for President Trump. I'm thankful for many parts of his administration, but I'm thankful for the American people who keep standing. Regardless of the consequences, they keep standing, they keep speaking truth, and they keep doing the right thing. It gives me hope. And Father, even though we talk about the things that are not going well, we know that everything it lies in you. We know that you are the one that gets to decide what path we take, and that we're here to serve. So Father, just help us that we may honor you in that service. And as we talk about that, we have people that have been really sick. We have Dave Bear that's fighting cancer, and I keep asking that he be healed. And we know that your will be done, but we really would ask that you heal Dave. And there's a ton of other people that are facing just horrible things in their lives. And so I just ask you, Father, to lift the burden off of their shoulders and help lead us to a place where we can have peace. I ask these things, Father, humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So I end everything with a prayer, and then I say stuff, and I got a text message yesterday, and they're like, Joe, you know, on Monday you said something about someone. And I was like, what'd I say? And they said, well, it was kind of, you were talking about a gay person. And I was like, oh, did I say something wrong? And they're like, well, it was kind of offensive. And I said, what did I say? They're like, I don't remember, but you talked about a gay person. Listen to me. My business partner is a gay married Jewish father of 2. He's one of the coolest guys, one of my best friends. He's one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet. And he's the reason we don't have HR, because we get to make fun of each other, right? But if it offends you, I can't help you. I don't think it makes you any less of a Christian or more of a Christian. I think we got to be able to poke fun at each other. And if we don't bring humor back, what else do we got? Like it kind of sucks not having the same humor. And some of the funny stuff that you'll find on social media that's humorous is totally inappropriate. So sometimes I'll be a little inappropriate. So just forgive me for that. But in the meantime, make sure you take care of each other. God bless you, and vote Joe for governor. Yeah, you gotta vote for me. Yeah. God bless you.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Argentina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. It's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Help the single moms, bring back trade school strong, opportunity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Kuma's fraud, Dominion's rigged design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud, we'll be one man for the people, set our great state free. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor rise up untamed, in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the nights. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave